and I was trying to showcase like all of the aspects I was reading, but I think at this moment, here you go, like a week ago, maybe longer than that, it's been a while, but it's in beginning of January, or sorry, end of December. What month am I even in? Hello, I am here. No, obviously you know that I'm here. And she ends up stealing something from one of the guards. It causes a lot of problems. She ends up getting kidnapped. Kidnapped is the wrong word. Hey everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very dirty with books I'm reading because of BookTube. So I'm doing another episode of BookTube Made Me, a part of that series. I haven't done one in quite a while. And today, as you can tell by the graphic and the title and all that fun stuff, we are doing Gavin from Gavin Reads It All. I have been subscribed to Gavin for, oh my gosh, so long. I've seen he's changed his channel name twice since I've been subscribed to him. I don't think I was subscribed from the very, 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 very beginning, but I'm pretty freaking close, I think. Peanut is here today. She has decided that she needs to be part of the conversation. So, what was I saying? Gavin, right. So I started following him a while ago, and he's just, I feel like I've seen his channel change as his reading changes, which I think is just really fun. It's a fun thing that happens when you follow someone for so long. So in this video, I had 4 books planned and I was trying to showcase like all of the aspects I was reading, but I think right now it's just going to be part of his reading. Anyway, so I have 1 middle grade and 2 mangas is what we're doing in this one. So the first one I actually do own, but I don't know where it is. So it is Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. I'll put it up here. It's a middle grade. And this one I've actually already started. I didn't know really what I was getting into. Like, I didn't know anything about this. I just remember seeing Gavin talk about it when he read it a while. Like, it's been quite a while since he read this book. Absolutely loved it. And, like, would not stop raving about it. So I said, why not? It's by an Asian author. It is heavily influenced by mythology, I believe. Or at least that's the vibe. And so I said, yes, it's got this beautiful cover. Let's give it a try. So, like I said, I've started this one. It is written in such a way that normally this would not work for me except for this story. So it follows our main character whose name I am now realizing that I have forgotten. So in this book, we follow our main character, Min Lee, and she lives in this very, very, for lack of a better word, gross and impoverished town. It's like covered in mud because it lives next to this place called the Fruitless Mountain. And so her family is very, very poor. It's her and her parents, and she survives by basically her dad telling her stories. And one of these stories is The Man in the Moon, or The Man by the Moon. The old man of the moon, sorry, who is supposed to be the person who like keeps the Book of Fate. And so she's convinced that if she can find this old man, she can convince him to change their fate and they will no longer be impoverished and struggling. So she goes on an adventure to do that. It's written as like a mythology story is the best way I could describe it. Like if you were in school, or at least when I was in school, we would learn about, like, for example, the creation myths, and it was things from like Greek mythology, a Native American or indigenous mythology, Indian mythology, like just insert whatever culture you want. And like the way that the stories were told had a very specific writing style, and I think it's because it's very, very simplistic is the best way that I can describe it. So it has that writing style. So you're reading this book and it's a pretty chunky book as far as like, I mean, it's not super, super chunky, but it's like, I would say 300 to 400 page books, 300 to 400 pages. And it has this very like third person detached yet simplistic writing style. So you've got Min Lin, and where I'm at, which is only about 25% of the way through, she has run into this dragon who actually was in a painting and he can't fly. And so she's like, well, if you come with me, maybe you can ask the man in the moon, or the old man in the moon, or whatever he's called, for wings or maybe for the ability to fly. And he goes, fantastic. So they have started their journey. On the other side of that, you've got, it switches back and forth. Once she leaves, her parents are like, find a note from her and go, oh no. And so they go on an adventure to find her. So it's not just Min Lin's adventure. You also have chapters with her parents as they go on an adventure to try to find her. And so at least that's where I'm at. I don't know how many chapters. I think we obviously so far have had more Min Lin chapters than parent chapters, but like you have these two parents that usually in a situation like this, once she leaves, the parents are like, yes, they're worried and stuff, but they're in the background and we never see for them again until the very end when they reunite. And this one, she's all about, no, 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 I am going to showcase the parents as well. And I found that very interesting. But again, the way it's written has this very like mythology writing style. I don't know how else to explain it, but I'm really enjoying it. Normally, like I said, this very simplistic writing style would not work for me, but it does in this instance. So we've got that one. I'll come back to you when I have more thoughts on that one. The other books that I'm reading, I have one physically here because I did just buy it, and that is the first volume of Cherry Magic. 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard, and this is by Yu Toyota, maybe. I literally went to Books A Million to try to find this, and they had volumes 3 and up. So exciting stuff. I don't know a lot about this one. I just remember this was a more recent one that Gavin read and absolutely loved it. It's clearly a male romance. I feel like in the manga circles that I have found, or the manga books that I have found, there are not very many same-sex couples, so clearly I'm in the wrong circles. So when I saw this, I said yes, and it has clearly a magical thing because someone can read minds, but I really don't know much more about it. I just remember Gavin's responses to it was, oh my god, they're so cute, I love it. And I do believe it's an anime. So I don't know how long this series is, but there was quite a few volumes at Books A Million when I looked, just not the one I needed. So this is one that I'm going to be picking up. And then of course we couldn't do a video about Gavin without checking out One Piece. So whoa, sweetheart, stop kicking things, because Gavin is obsessed with that series. A lot of people are obsessed with that series, and there is a Netflix adaptation of it, which has made me a little bit curious. So I found the first volume online somewhere. I don't know where it was, but I found it online, so I'm going to read it that way. Just the first volume. I think it's about pirates. I mean, I know it's about pirates. It's about like on the sea. That's literally all I know about it. So those are the books that I'm planning to read. And then I did have a murder mystery-esque book on this list as well, but I don't think I'm going to get that in time from the library. So I'm still going to read it. It just might not make it into this video. So that's the plan. Those are my plans for this video. Why, hello. It's been probably about a month since I came to you last. I have not been doing a very good job at doing this vlog. It was supposed to come out in November, and that did not happen. Life got in the way. So I'm just gonna read stuff for this vlog, and when I reach the end is when you'll see it. So I do have an update, and that is that I did finish When the Mountain Meets the Moon like a week ago, maybe longer than that. It's been a while, but it's in beginning of January, or sorry, end of December. What month am I even in? End of December. This is one of the last books that I read for the end of the year, and that's because I got the audiobook for it, and my audiobook went away, so I was reading it physically, and then my audiobook came back, so I went ahead and said, you know what, I'm gonna finish this because I was really enjoying it. And I did. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I think a lot of my feelings that I've already talked to you about with this book stay the same. There's not a whole lot for me to add. I think this is very interesting because of how it's written. The way it's written, this very lyrical yet straightforward writing style. The vibe shouldn't work for me personally in such a long form. Short story, fine. Long form, not so much. And it worked really well. I really liked watching our main character Min Lee kind of going through the story, and also like while it is middle grade and while I'm not the target audience, I think the end climactic moment. I mean, there wasn't really anything big climactic that was happening. She was just kind of going on this journey, but the big like climactic moment I saw coming, just because it felt like this is being tailored, the story is being tailored as like a mythology itself, like a myth story. So like there has to be a moral sort of thing, you know, and there definitely is one. And so I really liked that. I liked how steeped it was in history, because the author clearly, like even in the back of this book, you can see pictures of her going to different parts of the world. This is a rock sculpture that I saw in the Yuyan Garden, and it became an inspiration for part of Minley's hiding place at one point. Here's like, she even did the art herself. So like this is her sketch and this is the final version. Here is a picture of like what this is based on. So like she clearly went and did some research and got inspired by actual things in life and in this culture. I will say, if you can read this physically, I highly recommend, because you have these full page illustrations, but you also have like in the stories, it's a lot of storytelling, and within these chapters you have people that she comes across, and each of them will tell her a story, and they will be headed like this. So like she's just met someone, and now this is the story that that person is telling, and so that's beautiful. The chapter heads are beautiful. So like in general, this is just a really pretty book. So if you can read this, the audiobook was great, so I highly recommend the audiobook, but if you can read it physically along with the audiobook, I think that's the best option. So I loved this. I didn't think, honestly, I was afraid. I was interested enough to pick it up, but I was afraid based on a lot of things in this book that I didn't think were going to work for me, and then they ended up working really well. So I really liked the story. I understand why Gavin liked it. I think he gave it a 5. I'm giving it a 4, 4.5. It's not like perfect, but again, not the target audience, but I still really enjoy the journey, and the fact that I was able to put this down a couple of times but still be like, I want to keep reading, and like making the time for it, I think says a lot. So what's next? As I mentioned, it's January, so on my January TBR you guys will have seen that I put the first volume of Cherry Magic. So this is the next one that I'm going to be picking up. I'm not sure when I'm going to be picking it up, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that this will be the next one I read, and the next time you see me I'll have read it. This one is a male romance adult manga. It is the first volume of I want to say at least 10, if not more. But it follows our main 2 characters, and our main character just turned 30, and he's still a virgin. And for some reason, because of this, he now has some sort of magical ability. And I'm not sure if it's to read. He could read thoughts, but I'm not sure it's everybody's thoughts or just, oh yes, it allows him to read the minds of whomever he touches. And so one day he accidentally touches this younger employee. I'm not sure by how much younger. I don't think it's like a huge age gap, but we'll find out. Anyway, and this younger employee has coworker. Let me say that. I think it's a coworker. But this younger one has a huge crush on him, and so he can read this guy's mind while it's going on. So it's magical, yet also contemporary, yet adult and male. So it's got a lot of things that are checked the box for me. So I'm interested to see where we go with this. I did see a cover of like one of the most recent volumes, and I do know where the story and the romance is going, so I'm excited about that. But I want to see, because these are really short, so I want to see how things go, because Gavin was like enthralled with this one, and I want to see how cute it is. You know, like I want to know. I want to know all the things. So I don't know when I'm getting this one. Sometime in January. And I'll come back to you when I have finished it, because I'm going to give myself a little break and read a manga for this vlog next. So that's my plan. I'll come back to you when I've done that, and I have things to tell you. I expect it'll be good. It has to be something, I think, pretty big in this one for it to not work for me, you know? Hello. A couple of days ago, I finished the first volume of Cherry Magic, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it so much that I ordered the second one. So, so the romance in here was amazing. I really enjoyed it because we have like the whole premise. I think it's very obvious by like everything I've said about this, and also the title is one of our characters, this guy right here. I think his name is Adachi. It is. Once he turns 30, he's still a virgin, and so because of that, it gives him this superpower that if he touches you, he can hear your thoughts. I was under the impression of once he touches you, he can always hear your thoughts. I think it works more like if he's actively touching you, he can hear what you're thinking. And so the other guy that he works with, who I'm never going to get his name right, Kurosawa, I believe, he has the biggest crush on Adachi. And so he ends up accidentally like touching him in the elevator one day and discovering that. And so like it's the two of them. They work in the same place. I don't know what they do, but they work in the same place. And it's basically like he's presented with a bunch of different opportunities. Like in this book alone, or in this volume alone, they end up staying late one night to work. And so Kurosawa, he offers Adachi to stay at his apartment, and so he does. Now it's in like the living room. It's in a like there's nothing like sexual going on between the two of them, but like this guy doesn't have any idea what he's talking about. He's never been in a relationship, like he doesn't know how this works, and so it's like him trying to figure out whether or not he actually has feelings for this guy. And they have a very cute moment in this book that hints to feelings. I think I looked it up and there's 14 volumes. I think the 14th volume is coming out this year. I don't know if it's like already out and it's just coming out in English this year, but like that's the last one that's going to be out at the moment. That doesn't mean like that's it. That's just like the most recent one. So I'm obsessed at the moment. Their romance is really cute. There were moments that were like kind of confusing. I couldn't tell, especially early on when I was trying to figure out the magic system a little bit. I wasn't sure what was the thought, what was his thought, what was the guy's thought, what was the thought because he touched him. And so like there was definitely some moments where I was a little confused, which is why I didn't get a full 5-star, but they had a very cute moment and it ended very abruptly. And there was a lot of like extra bits in this volume. So like one of his friends, who's now a romance author, he comes to and like tells him about this, and the guy's like whatever, and he accidentally touches his friend and finds out that this guy who's a romance author is also a virgin. And so one of the extra bits at the end is him turning 30 and getting this ability, and starting a cute friendship with the delivery guy. He has a cat, and so the delivery guy is like, oh my gosh, this guy's a weirdo. And then he goes, oh wait, you have the cat, okay, maybe you're not a weirdo. And so it's actually quite cute. So, and it's hinted in the back that we're going to get more from that. So I like the side plot as well, but it's very cute. I'm very on board. I understand why Gavin loves it. I mean, clearly I got the second one right away. I literally overnighted it to myself so I could read it ASAP. So this was a random pickup, last minute edition, turned out fantastic. So far, Gavin is 2 for 2 for me. So the next one is one that, okay, at the beginning of this video, I definitely talked about a book that I was going to get from the library and whether or not, if I was going to include it or not. Still interested in that book. It's not going to be part of this video. What is going to be part of this video is a book that I picked up purely off of Gavin's recommendation. I'd maybe seen the cover a couple places, but I hadn't seen anybody read it until Gavin did his romantasy video. And if you've seen my January TBR, you know it's coming. I'll leave that video down below if you're curious. But the book that he read and loved was Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Now, this is a romantasy book that's quite chunky. It's about fae. It takes place in like a wintry world. And she ends, like our main character ends up getting like in a bargain, I think, with this guy. Yeah, she mistakenly binds herself to this guy named Kingfisher, a handsome fae warrior who has secrets and nefarious agendas of his own. He will use her magic to protect his people no matter what it costs him or her. So fae, things like that. It's quite chunky. It's like 600 pages. I do have the audiobook, but this was kind of on my radar. I mean, again, the cover looks familiar. I probably would have looked into it at some point because yay, romantasy. But Gavin read it and I said, okay. And he and I may not have the same thoughts on romantasy in the sense of like in that video, he definitely disliked some books that I enjoyed, but I just know myself. And if he loved this, but didn't like those, that means that this one is like way better than those. Does that make sense to you? Because it makes sense in my brain. Either way, this was a random, completely impulse purchase, but it was because it was after I had watched that video. So it's probably going to be a while before I come to you with updates because I'm not planning on picking this one up right away. I'm in the middle of a couple other things. But the next time you see me in this video, I will have started this one at least. So I'm adding a last minute edition switcheroo to this video, which is this one. And I'm very excited. So they can give it like 4 stars, if I am correct, maybe 4.5. We'll see what I think. I have high hopes because I think it's going to be great because so far this video has been fantastic. So I'll let you know my thoughts whenever I end up getting around to this one. All right, let's see if she lets me film this update because she's been very, very vocal today. I have an update. Surprise! I am, I think, almost exactly halfway, maybe a little bit less than halfway through Quicksilver, and I love it. Shocked to no one. Can you see all the tabs? I've highlighted the crap out of this book. I mean, hello. Up here, the crap is exaggeration. There they are. I've highlighted some important parts for me. Thoughts. I was about a couple of chapters in, and I had a good feeling about this book. I won't say I thought it was going to be like my next favorite thing, the next best book I've ever read, but like, I was very invested pretty early on. So I don't think I gave you much of what this book's about when I came to you last, but I know more now, obviously. So this follows our main character, Sarith, and she lives in this world that's very desert, very dry, like they have water rations. She lives in like the poorest section of the city, if you will, and basically there's a queen who's ruling everything, and she ends up stealing something from one of the guards. It causes a lot of problems. She ends up getting kidnapped. Kidnapped is the wrong word. She ends up getting arrested by the queen, and then through things happening, she ends up opening this portal, which takes her to the land of the Fae, and she interacts with this guy right here called Kingfisher. And basically what happens is there's this stuff called Quicksilver. It's like metal. It's this pool of metal that very few people can liquefy. And when they liquefy it, that's basically like they've opened a portal. But they've opened a portal to every world that ever exists. So it's not just between her world and the Fae world. It's like all portals everywhere are opened. But there's been a sword in the one where she was, which is stopping all portals from ever being open. They're stopping all trade, everything. So the king in this world, basically, not Kingfisher, Kingfisher is very much not the king. The king in this world, the Fae world, basically like keeps her because he's like, oh, you're an alchemist, you can do this, you're going to learn stuff. And then through more situations, I don't want to tell you too much, she ends up making a bargain with Kingfisher, who is this warrior who like the king hates. Some people like him, some people don't. He's very, very sarcastic. He's very, very rough on the outside because he spent many years. He's like over 1,000 years old. So is most Fae, actually. But he spent thousands of years basically being pushed away, hidden away. Stuff has happened to him. We don't really know what it is yet, and it's hardened him. And so she ends up accidentally making this bargain with Kingfisher where like she's gonna help him save his people. He will possibly save her brother. It's like a whole thing. And that's kind of where I am. I don't really know where the story's gonna go. This is the first of the series. I know the second one is coming out in November, I want to say. It's definitely later this year. It's a chunker, but I am taking my time. I am really diving in. Like, I want to do nothing but read this book, but I'm taking my time through it because A, I don't have time to just only read this book. I've got other things I need to read as well, but like, I just I'm devouring this book. Overall, loving it. I need to go back and see what once I finish, I need to go back and see what Gavin thought about it because I really can't remember. But I like the world. I think it's really fascinating. It's the Fae world. She ends up in the winter court. She goes from like desert where water is scarce to winter where it literally falls from the sky and she is cold all the time. It's really interesting to see because like before water was rationed, here she has like a hot bath on the first day and she's like, excuse me, what is this madness? So I'm loving it. The moral of the story is I'm loving it. I'm not surprised I'm loving it. I'm surprised how much I am engrossed to the point of I'm purposefully not reading so that I can keep dragging it out. You know what I mean? So yes, this was a great decision. This was a fantastic decision to read this book. And I am excited to keep going. Again, it's a slow process. I'm doing it on purpose. So, loving it. Fantastic. I hope you can hear what I'm saying over. She needs to jump and make lots of noise apparently today. What I'm trying to say is that this is fantastic and I'm loving it, and I think that the slow, steady process is the good part. Or is the good way to read this. Someone agrees with me. So come back to you when I finish this one, probably. But maybe with a less loud child. Hello. A couple of days ago, I finished Quicksilver. And in a shocking twist that no one saw coming, I give it 5 stars. So I loved this book. I mean, I think I looked at my Goodreads and I think it took me a month to get through this book. But not because I wasn't wanting to read. Like when I was reading in like big chunks, but I wanted to not just push through for the sake of reading. I wanted to read because I was really enjoying it. And so I didn't mind holding out and like putting a few days in between reading, or even the week in between reading, because I knew that I was going to love this book, and when I was reading it I wanted to focus on it. So I did that. As you can see, I tabbed and I highlighted a bunch. I mean, I don't know if you can actually like see them on camera a little bit. I highlighted so much of this book, and it wasn't like, I'm usually pretty bad at like the beginning, and then I'll start tabbing and highlighting like halfway through, but like that's pretty early on I started tabbing because I knew this was going to be good. I knew within a couple of chapters that I was going to be taken away by this story, and I was, and I cannot stop thinking about it. I know I was really worried this was going to put me in a slump, but really what has happened is like now I just want to read more romantasy and fantasy types books. Like that's the mood that I'm in, and now I keep picking up things that fall within that category. My shopping, my book buying very much reflects that. I went to the book warehouse a couple of days ago, or over the weekend, with one of my friends who was in town. We're picking up a few things for Peanut, we're picking up a few things for me, and I picked up a lot of fantasy. So you might be seeing a lot of fantasy on this channel, and I'm going to I'm just gonna let the mood take me. So we'll see how long that lasts. Either way, I loved this. And there's definitely some things in this book that like are stereotypical plot things or twists or devices that are used by this author that are not original. They're used in like every romantic book that I've read. But even though like that doesn't deter my enjoyment, like it's hard to be incredibly original. Like the world is original and these characters are original, but like again, some of the plot things is like a staple in romantasy, which makes sense. I mean, it's a romantasy book, you're gonna want those types of things in it, so it's not a bad thing in my opinion. I'm just saying be wary if you're going in expecting like the next new novel that you've never read of. I also don't want to compare this to ACOTAR, but the feelings I had when I was reading the ACOTAR series for the first time, specifically the second book, are the feelings I had when I was reading this. So it was very, very reminiscent of my time in ACOTAR. And yes, there might be a couple of plot things in here that are very similar to some of the stuff that happens in the ACOTAR series, but I would not compare this to ACOTAR. I would say if you are a Sarah J. Maas fan and you are a romantasy fan specifically, then you probably would enjoy this book, but don't go in expecting this to be just like Sarah J. Maas. But my feelings were the same, and that's what I want to like focus on is that like some of the scenes between our main two characters, like when they were having banter moments and I was just like totally enthralled by it. I was like, this is what happened when I read ACOMAF, and I loved that. So big fan, big fan. I find it interesting that Gavin liked this. Not that I'm surprised, because his tastes are all over the place, but I know that he's not like the biggest romantasy fan. I know it's a new genre for him. So I had a lot of hope going into this book, because there are definitely some romantasy books that I really enjoy that he does not. which is totally fine. So I figured if he liked something in this genre, it was probably going to be really, really good. And I was correct. So like I loved this. If you can get the audiobook, I highly recommend. It's a dual narration. It's like, it's all within her point of view, but like when you have a male character speaking, there's a different narrator for that. And fun fact, if you've read or listened to the graphic audio of the ACOTAR series, it's the actor who plays Rhysand. And that made me very happy. Either way, this was a fantastic hit. I didn't expect it. I expected it to be good. I didn't expect it to take over my soul, I think is where the surprise is at. So I'm so glad I read this. I'm really glad I randomly picked this up because I saw Gavin talk about it in a video. And I'd seen a couple people talk about this, but like I hadn't really seen anybody read it besides him. And then of course after seeing him read it, I've saw it everywhere because that's just what happens. But I randomly picked this up and I now need the second one. Not because like there's a crazy cliffhanger. I mean, there is a cliffhanger, but like it's also ended in a way that like I was content and happy with. Like I can wait based on how this book ended, but I don't want to because I love these characters and I just want to be in the same world with them again. So I have to wait till November. And I don't know if I'm gonna be okay. Either way, I did it. I finished it. 5 stars. Mwah. Chef's kiss. New favorite. Yay. Which means we're now down to the very last one, which is the first volume of One Piece. I hopefully will be able to pick it up soon. I think I found it online for free because I don't have access to it. Like my library doesn't have an e-copy of it. And I don't have a physical library yet. So I will pick that one up hopefully in the next couple of days. Someone's fussing, so I need to go. But I wanted to tell you that I finished this one, and then the next one is One Piece, and I feel like that's the one that's like the Gavin book in this video, and I'm incredibly nervous because I want to love it, but I really don't know what it's about, so I'll probably come back to you when I finished it, and I could tell you things. I know it has to do with pirates, or at least there's a ship. I'll let you know. This might not be my most flattering light, but it's what we've got at the moment because it is pouring down right outside. Anyway, I'm here to give you final thoughts because I finished One Piece, the first volume, I think. So the volume that I found online just kind of ended, so I have a feeling there's more. It just wasn't in that version that I had found. So I don't actually know if I finished all of it, but I finished enough that I feel confident saying that I finished it. Does that make sense? Either way, I did it. I was looking back. I was actually just editing this video and realized I hadn't done the last final update. And I started this video in November. So, One Piece. I will admit, I went into this book, manga, thinking I wasn't going to like it. There was a vibe and it wasn't vibing with me. I don't know what it was. I just went in and I was like, this is gonna be fine. This is gonna be a very interesting end to the video. I'm gonna have loved everything else. And then like the thing that Gavin loves, the thing that like is him right now is gonna be like the thing I don't enjoy. So I was very worried, but I just didn't, all honesty, didn't expect it to be amazing, mind-blowing. And while it's definitely not my favorite book of all time or manga series of all time, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. I ended up giving it 4 stars, which I'll admit that I'm a generous rater, but like I expected this to be a 3-star at best. So the fact that I went in and actually kind of got really connected to these characters, and like we follow our main character whose name I'm never going to be able to pronounce or understand, but he grew up in this town where like pirates visited and he's always wanted to be a pirate. And then when he was really young, this crew that he's been like asking to be a part of for a long time found this fruit, and so he accidentally eats the fruit, and it's one of like the god's fruits or something, and it makes him rubber basically. So he can't die. He's literally made out of rubber, but he can't swim, which is problematic because he wants to be a pirate. And so then it jumps in the future and it's him leaving this town to become a pirate, and he's kind of going to find this thing called the One Piece, which is this treasure that the Pirate King left, and like whoever finds it becomes the next Pirate King or something along those lines. And so he's trying to find a crew. And so he leaves in this little like rickety lifeboat, almost sized boat. And he's basically finding people along the way. And so this obviously is just the very first step in this journey. We meet a few people that he is probably going to add to his crew. So I actually really enjoyed it. Am I going to continue with this series? Most likely not, because I'm not exaggerating when I say there are over 100 volumes in this series. There's different arcs, there's different situations, I'm sure there's different characters we follow. I'm not sure we follow the same person the whole time, but like and it's still coming out, I'm pretty sure. So like, and I might be wrong on that, I don't know a lot about One Piece, but there's a lot, and I do not have the time nor the brain power, I think, to commit to that. So while I really enjoyed it, and I went in, and that's probably why I'm so surprised that I enjoyed it, because I went in not expecting a whole lot, I don't think I'm going to continue for those reasons. But I can see why people like it. Like, I was connected to these characters surprisingly quickly. And while there was definitely some stuff that like I didn't vibe with, it still worked for me. And the fact that this was written, I think the first volume was written in the 90s, and it's so long, first off. It's got such a like almost cult following, I feel like, to the point that they like made a Netflix show, which I know is controversial just to begin with, making a show about something that's so loved. But I don't know, I wanted to know what it was about, and now I know. And I can see why people would get obsessed. Like, if there was like an arc, if you're a One Piece fan, let me know. If there's like an arc where we follow just this guy and it ends and it's only like 20 something volumes long, I would read that. But it's just the scope and scale, I think, of the series that scares me. So I really enjoyed it. The moral of the story is I get it. I understand why people are obsessed with it. I don't think I'm going to be one of those people, but I understand, and now my curiosity, I figured it out. It was really good, and I get it. I get why people like it. So that brings us to the very end of this video. We read 4 things from Gavin, 2 mangas, 1 middle grade, and 1 romantasy. I really wanted to get like a murder mystery in here, because there's definitely a couple that are on my list because of him, but maybe we'll do a part 2, and I'll be better at actually reading things in time. So I didn't get all facets, I think, of Gavin's reading. I wasn't going to, because he's really into horror, and I do not do horror, but mystery I could do. So maybe in the future there'll be some more options. Peanut has decided that she's going to play with her toys now. So it's time to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed. I think the lowest thing I gave was a 4 for One Piece. I'm pretty sure everything else got a 4, 4.5, or 5. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. There's definitely been some where I've given people that like my reading tastes align perfectly, and I've given some 3 stars. So this is one of the more successful additions to BookTube made me. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I apologize for how long it took me to get this together. Maybe no one else cares but me, but I hope you enjoyed this video anyway, and I'm happy that it's out. As always, if there are any booktubers that you would like to see me do something like this, always leave your comments down below. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned in today's video, please let me know your thoughts on those as well. But I think that's all I have for you guys today, so I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links. So check all that out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.